Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's class, Sleeping Better. Hopefully, by the end of today's class, you will learn a little bit more about sleep problems, what causes them, and most importantly, some strategies that you can try out on your own to try and improve your sleep. Relaxation is something that is really important and really beneficial to our sleep, but it's also something that can be really difficult to achieve when we're worried about our sleep or have had problems sleeping for a really long time. So I wanted to start today's class with a really brief relaxation exercise to hopefully get us all in a great mindset for the information we're going to learn. So feel free to skip this if you'd like, but if you're willing, I welcome you to just take a moment to settle into your chair or your seat, wherever you are right now. You're welcome to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. But if you prefer to keep your eyes open, just let your eyes fall to a soft gaze, perhaps on your lap or the wall in front of you. And as you settle into your seat, just take a moment to notice the feeling of your body in your seat. Noticing perhaps your back, making contact with your seat, or your legs holding you up. Noticing the feeling of your feet on the ground, connecting you to the room around you, the earth beneath us all. And gently bring your attention to your breathing. Without needing to change it right now, simply noticing what it feels like as you breathe in and breathe out. Noticing how your body moves, maybe your chest or your stomach. Perhaps noticing what the air feels like as it comes in and goes out. And if you can, just try and make your breath a little bit slower. Slowly inhale and slowly exhale. Some people find it helpful to count to themselves just to keep track of the breath. Inhale, 2, 3, and exhale, 1, 2, 3. Gently notice any sensations in your body again, connecting you to your feet on the floor, your body in your seat. When you're ready, just gently bring your attention back to the present moment in this class Allow your eyes to open if they've been closed and let in the light. So let's talk about sleep, the reason why we're here in this class. So something that's really important to know about sleep is that everybody is different. One person's needs might be different than another person. And sleep is something that actually changes over time. So the sleep that we needed when we were children might be different than the sleep that we need when we're young adults, or older adults. Most people get somewhere between 6 and 10 hours of sleep. So that's a pretty big window. That means within that range, people are getting lots of different types of sleep, different hours of sleep. And it's okay that sleep does not look the same for every person. Insomnia is a word we often use to describe having problems with sleep that last for a really long time. Insomnia is something that's really common, and a lot of adults experience insomnia or problem sleeping at some point in their life. When we're talking about insomnia, specifically what we mean is that you're having a really hard time falling asleep, or a really hard time staying asleep, or waking up way earlier than you wanted to. And this lasts for a really long time. Now, when I say having a hard time falling asleep, or waking often or waking too early, this can be a matter of perspective because, again, everybody is different. But most of the time, we would expect that it would take about 20 or 30 minutes to fall asleep. That's perfectly normal. Yes, some people are able to fall asleep in just a couple of minutes as soon as their head hits the pillow, and that's perfectly okay, but that's certainly not true for everybody. Something people wonder about a lot is, why do I have sleep problems? Why now? Maybe they just came on very suddenly, or maybe this is something that has been true all throughout life. Sleep problems and insomnia can show up differently for different people. Well, when we're thinking about the reasons for sleep problems, you can think about the 3 Ps, which I'm going to talk about right now. You can see here on the screen. First, there are predisposing reasons, which basically just means that everybody's body is built differently. My body, my brain is built differently from everybody else's. And some bodies are just born to be more likely to have sleep problems. And this could be maybe a family history. A lot of times people that have insomnia can also name many different family members that also have insomnia. Or there are also just more bodies that are more sensitive to things like sound or light or things like that. So some people are just born, just by the way our body is made up, to be more likely to have sleep problems. Another reason for sleep problems we call precipitating. And that just means like a trigger, something that starts or causes sleep problems in this moment. Lots and lots of things can trigger problems with sleep. I'm sure if you reflect on your own life, your experience, you might be able to think of various things that have happened in life that cause sleep problems, maybe even for just a night, maybe for many nights. Examples include maybe a really stressful life event. So something really stressful going on can trigger sleep problems. And I'll note here, when we talk about stressful things happening in life, very often we're thinking about bad things like, oh, there's a problem that's happening at work, or I need to pay rent. But sometimes things that are really exciting are also stressful, like planning a birthday party for a family member that I love. I might be really excited to plan this party, but it can still come with a lot of stress and a lot of things on my mind. That can make it hard to sleep. Medical conditions, suddenly becoming sick or having chronic health conditions can trigger problems sleeping. Mental health conditions like depression or anxiety very commonly come with difficulty sleeping. And of course, things that we've experienced in the past can continue to show up in our present day, including by causing problems sleeping. So if we've gone through things in the past that are really scary or painful or even traumatic, that can continue to cause sleep problems in present day. And finally, the last contributor to problem sleeping are what we would call perpetuating sleep problems. And basically what that means is things that continue the sleep problem. So once a sleep problem has started, usually a combination of my body's more vulnerable and then something happened in life, then there are certain things that I might do, habits, for example, ways that I think about things, patterns of my behavior that will continue problem sleeping. And what the great news is here is that this is an area that we can really make some changes in, and really we can actually reteach our body how to sleep better, even if it's something that we're not able to do right now. So the first thing that I want to introduce you to, what our body needs in order to sleep, is this idea we call sleep drive or sleep hunger. We think about hunger the way we normally talk about it, like with food. Throughout the day, the longer we go without eating, the more hungry we'll get. Same thing happens with sleep. Our sleep drive is kind of like our body's natural drive that tells us how much sleep we need. And the longer we go without sleep, the more that drive for sleep builds up. However, just like with hunger, if I have a snack before dinner, let's say if I have some cookies before I have my salad for dinner, my appetite for my dinner might not be as strong. In the same way, taking a nap during the day can actually take away from my sleep drive at night. This is especially true for really long naps or naps that happen later in the day. Now, this is something that's really difficult, especially if we're not sleeping well at night. It's really tempting to sleep during the day, or maybe it's even really hard to stay awake during the day. And that's okay. That's perfectly normal. In fact, if your job involves driving, for example, or if being really sleepy during the day is something that's actually really dangerous, I don't want you to be sleepy and be in danger. So if you need to take a nap or you just can't stay awake, just can't avoid the nap, it's okay to take a nap. Just try and keep it as short as possible. Set an alarm for 20 or 30 minutes and try and keep it earlier in the day, not after about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This way, you can help your body build up the need to sleep, that sleep drive. Something else that our body and our brains need in order to sleep well is a regular body clock. Let me tell you a little bit more about that. So all of us, we are born with a natural clock. It's just a biological clock that tells our bodies when it's morning, when it's daytime, when it's time to be awake, get up. when it's nighttime, when it's time to get sleepy, to rest, when it's time to eat, when it's time to do all sorts of things that our body needs to do. Now, this internal clock works on a 24-hour cycle, and it's triggered by external things around us, things that we might see. For example, the sun rising is one of the triggers that tells this internal clock, oh, it's morning, time to turn on the awake system. Because this is a 24-hour clock, and this is the clock, the biological clock we have that's telling us when to feel awake and when to feel sleepy, it's super helpful if we can have a really consistent schedule, meaning it's really difficult for our brain and our body to sleep well if we're going to bed at a different time every day and waking up at a different time every day. Now, this is something that can be really difficult, especially for anybody that has a work schedule where you're really waking up and going to bed at really different times, or as if you're having sleep problems and trying to catch up on that sleep in the morning by sleeping in a little bit extra if you can. Now, of course, in both of these situations, or in any situation when we have different bedtimes and different wake times, it's really normal. It's really understandable. And at the same time, it might not be the most helpful for our sleep. So if you can, do your best to stick to a regular time when you go to sleep. And most importantly, a regular time that you wake up. If you're only able to do one of those, pick a wake up time and try and stick to it within at least about 30 minutes if you can. And right now, if the time that you're waking up is there's a really big window or it's really late in the morning and you're really wanting to wake up much earlier, it's okay to slowly take steps towards moving your wake up time back so that you can wake up when you want to. But as best you can, try and give yourself a regular sleep schedule. Something else that our bodies and our brains need in order to sleep is less energy. Now, when I say energy, of course, most often we're thinking about energy like physically. So for example, if we're not doing a lot of things during the day, this is something that especially happened a lot early in the pandemic where we weren't going outside as much. We weren't going out and doing things as much. So we were spending a lot more time at home, sitting on the couch, sitting around. It's a lot of energy that gets built up in our body that needs to be used up somehow. Because if all that energy is still there when we're trying to go to sleep, that can make it really hard to fall asleep. Energy in our body or activity can also come from other things, other sources. For example, muscles getting really tight because we're stressed and muscles get tight when we're stressed. Or from pain. Having pain can cause a lot of energy, take up, in fact, a lot of energy in our body. And even though it's exhausting to have pain, that muscle tension, that energy that's added from pain can make it really difficult to sleep. And then there's other things that can cause a lot of physical energy, like caffeine, for example. So found in coffee most often, but can also be in sodas and teas. And then other drugs and alcohol. Now, there's also other forms of energy that can get in the way of sleep. So for example, mentally, we see here, there's a picture of a brain with just lots and lots of different thoughts above it. When we're worried about things, having racing thoughts, just going over something over and over, making plans, okay, I need to do this, I can't forget this. All of these thoughts can be really unhelpful. And finally, energy can also come in the form of emotions. This could be excitement, looking forward to something. We maybe can think of an example when we were children, or of a child we know who's really excited for something to happen and they just can't sleep because of all that energy that comes from excitement. But energy comes from lots of different emotions too, like sadness, feeling scared, feeling angry, feeling worried, annoyed. All of these emotions add energy to our body, to our experience, that make it really difficult to sleep. And in particular, when it comes to sleep problems, or anybody that's had any kind of sleep problem for more than a couple of nights, maybe even just one night, there can be specific thoughts and emotions that come along with sleep problems. For example, you can see here some really common thoughts a lot of people have when they can't sleep that bring up really normal emotions. So, for example, we might be laying in bed thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go to sleep. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to do my job if I don't sleep. What's going to happen if I'm not able to sleep? And I might be feeling really frustrated, really annoyed, maybe even really anxious that I'm not going to sleep and I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do tomorrow. Now, of course, these are really understandable, really normal reactions to have. They can also be really unhelpful when we're not able to sleep. So, as much as possible, if we're able to get rid of some of the extra energy that we have, that can be really helpful for sleep. So, for example, the relaxation that we did together at the beginning of class, that can be something that you practice before going to bed to help your body feel more relaxed physically. Getting some movement during the day, whether you're exercising and working out, or whether you're just moving your body, taking a walk around the block, walking around your home, picking things up, tidying, just moving your body can be really helpful. Managing emotions, whether it's depression or anxiety or the frustration that comes with problems sleeping, and managing thoughts, learning how to maybe let go of some of those worries, how to catch some of those worries that are unhelpful. And if this is something that sounds like it would be really helpful for you, but you've really tried and you'd really like to learn more, that can be something that you can really work on in therapy with a therapist who can really help guide you through that. But for a quick tip, one of the things that you can use thinking about those really unhelpful thoughts, especially related to sleep, might be to just kind of catch yourself in the moment when you notice that you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm never going to be able to sleep again. I'm so frustrated. See if you can catch yourself in that moment and say, hey, wait a second. Is that really true? Is that really helping me right now? Maybe would it be okay if, yeah, I might not sleep tonight and I might be tired tomorrow, but that's okay. Or yeah, sleep would be great, but you know what? Rest is good too. So I can spend some time resting right now. Whatever it is that works for you, again, just try managing those thoughts, managing those emotions, taking care of all of that energy that's in your brain, in your body, really getting in the way of sleep. So something else that we need in order to sleep is a calm environment. It can be really difficult to sleep when there's too much noise, too much light, it's too hot or too cold, if what I'm sleeping on is really uncomfortable, or if the people I'm sharing my sleeping space with maybe move around a lot or make a lot of noise, snoring, or doing other activities. When it comes to our environment, having a calm and comfortable space to sleep is really important. Now, there are some things in our environment that we might be able to change, and there are some things we might not. But if you can, see if you can take a look around your environment and to see what are some things that you can change. If it's really noisy and really bright where you are, for example, is there a way that you might be able to put a fan on that can have a little bit of background noise that might drown out some of the noise from the neighborhood? Or is there something that you can put over your window to cover up some of the light? If you're sharing your space with other people, is there a way that you can talk to them about when you're going to bed and if it's possible for them to maybe close the door if they're in another room, or maybe be a little bit more quiet? Or if you're sharing the sleeping space, see if you can find a way to share that sleeping space so that it's comfortable for everybody involved. So what are some things that you can do during the morning to set yourself up for better sleep the next night? Again, wake up at the same time every day, no matter what. I know this is really hard because this includes days that you're not working, and this includes mornings when maybe you didn't sleep that well the night before and you really like to try and stay in bed a little bit longer to try and catch up on that sleep. But if you can, think about your wake up time as giving yourself your best shot at better sleep in the long run. You're setting yourself up for better sleep tomorrow night or the night after, but in the long run, you're really helping your biological clock to be stronger and healthier. And over time, that will help your sleep a lot. Once you get out of bed, and try and get out of bed within about half an hour of waking up, or as soon as you wake up if you can. See if you can start moving your body, get some sunlight if you're able to. Light really helps wake us up, but it also helps tell our body clock, hey, it's morning now, it's time to get that awake system turned on. Some people find it really helpful to have a morning wake up routine. And this could look different for everybody, but it might be getting up, getting some water on your face, having a bathroom routine, going out to your kitchen, making a hot cup of coffee or tea, maybe doing some stretches, whatever sort of morning routine works for you. Doing something every morning that helps wake you up can be really helpful, but also it becomes part of your routine. And it's another cue that tells your biological clock it's morning time, it's time to be awake, it's time to be ready to go for the day. During the afternoon, again, try and avoid napping as much as you can. But if you do need to nap, for example, for safety, to make sure that you can drive safely, or if you really just can't keep yourself awake, try and keep your nap really short and earlier in the day. If you do have a cup of coffee as part of your morning routine, try and avoid, that's perfectly okay, but try and avoid having any caffeine during the afternoon. Caffeine can take a long time for our body to actually get rid of completely. So try not to have any coffee or anything with caffeine, including tea or sodas, after maybe 12 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll get to know your body best, but if you're really not sure, you can err on the side of being safer and just have caffeine in the morning. Some people also find it helpful to just take out caffeine entirely, but you may not need to do that. Again, just listen to your body and see what you think you might need. During the day, especially later in the day, avoid alcohol. even though alcohol is something that seems like it's really helpful for sleep because it makes people really sleepy, and in fact, a lot of people find it helpful for falling asleep, the tricky thing about alcohol is that even though it can make us really sleepy initially, once it gets into our body, it actually kind of messes things up with our sleep drive and will make it harder for us to get really deep sleep. It'll actually get in the way of deep sleep. And then as it leaves our system, as our body starts to process the alcohol, it can actually cause us to wake up a little bit. We might not remember waking up during the night, or we might, but either way, it's going to disrupt sleep quite a bit. And some people, if you smoke, some people find that smoking or using nicotine or tobacco, especially later in the evening, really gets in the way of sleep because it just adds too much energy. If you can, as much as you are able during the day, try and get some movement, try and get some exercise in. And if you're feeling any amount of stress or worry, anxiety, depression, try and manage that stress, those emotions during the day, whether this is through skills that you've learned in therapy or just any strategies that you found helpful. Managing stress during the day can really help with sleep later in the evening. And what you do at night is particularly important. So, something to really try and keep in mind is that you really want to only be in bed if you're asleep. A saying that we have is that sleep or your bed is for sleep and for sex only. That's it. It's not for watching TV, scrolling on your phone, eating, laying in bed worrying. It's for none of those things. So don't get into bed until it's bedtime, you're sleepy, you're ready to go to sleep. And once you are awake, get out of bed. Now, this includes if you get into bed or if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're not able to fall asleep or fall back to sleep within about 20 or 30 minutes. If that's the case, try and get out of bed and do something relaxing, something that doesn't take a lot of light, doesn't take a lot of energy, but gets you out of the bed. Because otherwise, what happens if we spend a lot of time in bed awake, what our body, what our brain is learning is that the bed is a really good place to just lay there and be awake. Maybe even lay there and worry about sleep. But maybe it's not so great a place to sleep. So as much as possible, if you are awake, get out of bed. I know sometimes options might be limited for places to be. Your bed might be all that you have in your space. In those cases, if you even just have a chair that you can put next to your bed so that you can sit in a chair next to your bed, that's wonderful. And if you don't have a chair, that's okay. Try and sit somewhere else. Maybe if you sit at the end of your bed so your feet can be on the floor and you're not laying down or leaning against your pillows. The idea is you want to create as much separation between your body and laying in your bed as you can when you're awake. Before you go to bed, it can be really helpful to have a routine. Just like we talked about a routine in the morning when you wake up, a routine at night can help tell your biological clock, it's time to go to sleep now. You can pick some time about an hour before your bedtime to do things that are relaxing. It could be listening to music, could be gentle stretching, having a bathroom routine where you're getting ready for bed, putting on pajamas, or just going around your house, making sure things are put away, turning the lights down. If you can, try and avoid any electronic screens before bed. This is something that can be really hard especially in today's world where we've always got our phones with us and there's always something to look at. But the tricky thing about electronic screens is that bright light that comes from them is one of the signals to our brain that says, oh, it's daytime, it's time to be awake. So that can really interfere with sleep. And the second thing that's tricky about electronic screens like TV or our phone or tablets is that there might be something interesting on the screen. It could be something that we're really interested in learning, or it could be something that makes us really upset, something on the news or something upsetting that we've seen from our friends or our family. And that can also make it really hard to fall asleep. So if you can, turn off the TV, put away your phone, and stay off the phone for the rest of the night to try and give your body its best shot at going to sleep. Before going to bed, try and avoid really big, really heavy meals. Eating a lot of food, especially food that's maybe really heavy or causes heartburn, can be really uncomfortable. And if we're uncomfortable, of course, it's really hard to sleep. So have your meal maybe earlier in the evening, or perhaps try and have your dinner be a little bit lighter and save your really heavy meal for lunchtime, which is in the middle of the day. You've got plenty of time to move around, get some exercise, work off some of that extra heaviness before you have to go to bed and sleep with heartburn. And again, if you're laying in bed and you're not able to sleep, try and have maybe just a little bit of compassion or kindness for yourself. You might be able to say things like, it's okay if I'm not able to sleep. I'm resting, I'm still taking care of myself. You might be able to say something like, well, I might not be able to sleep tonight. I'm really gonna sleep great tomorrow because I'm building up all of that sleep drive. Sleep is one of those things that the more that we try to sleep, the more that we pressure ourselves to sleep, the less likely it is to happen. So even though it sounds like the exact opposite of what we want to do, if you can, take off a little bit of that pressure on yourself to sleep, and have a little bit more compassion for yourself. And that will really go quite a long way. Thank you, everybody, for joining on this class today. I hope that you learned something useful, something you might be able to take away and try out on your own to try and improve your sleep. There are lots of tips and tricks and resources out there that guarantee improved sleep. And some of them might be helpful, some of them might not. But through it all, just keep in mind, if you're having problems sleeping, you are definitely not alone. This is a really common problem almost everybody experiences at some point. And sleep is definitely something that you have the power to improve yourself by making changes in the things that you do, the ways that you think about things. Your sleep can definitely be improved. I wish you all the best of luck. Hope something was helpful for you. Bye-bye.